Yes, we want to make money online, but all these scammy ads everywhere, it's turning everybody off. We don't even want to try. There's always some secret that they're talking about, and then there's always an hour-long webinar to figure out what the secret is. And then after the hour-long webinar, you don't figure out what the secret is. You have to pay $200 a month to see what the secret is. Just tell us the secret already. So real quick in this video, let's talk about 3 top ways that tech-savvy entrepreneurs can create passive income. Easy businesses to start that make money while you sleep. By the way, Finance 101, Business 101, they try to make it seem hard, but here's the bottom line. You have to spend less money than you make. It sounds simple, but at the end of the day, that's the #1 goal of personal finances. That's the #1 goal of business. The better you do that, the more successful financially you'll be. Now, if we can get $10,000 per month coming in passive income, and we only spend 4, that means we're financially independent. We don't have to work. We can live off of our passive income. And the second goal after spending less than you make is to increase that gap. And you do that by either cutting spending. Other way you can do that is by increasing your income. So you probably want to do both. Cut spending, increase your income. Increasing your income with a business. Start a business selling a product or service. Business #1, you might have guessed it, is web design. Web design is easier than ever these days with websites like Squarespace, no affiliation, but with Squarespace, you can create websites by dragging and dropping. I think anybody who's semi-tech savvy should have a web design business. Just put it on your website if you have a website, or create a small website that just says you create websites. Or you could even create cards, but so many people need web design. If you're in college, you're around a lot of people. If you go to church, or if you work at a big company or anything like that, a lot of people need websites, and a lot of people have no clue where to go for websites. So if you just make a website offering the service, I can almost guarantee, no guarantees, but I can almost guarantee you somebody will pay you to build their website. Now, the passive income with web design comes with maintenance. Of course, if you're using something like Squarespace, nobody's going to want to maintain that. A lot of people don't even know what they're doing when it comes to Squarespace. So they're going to pay you $100 a month, $200 a month, whatever you want to charge to maintain that website. Honorable mention here is WordPress. If you want to save a little bit more money and not have the monthly fees of Squarespace, it's going to be a little bit harder to learn WordPress, but it's still a drag and drop platform where you can build websites, lots of integrations. You can essentially build a web app off of WordPress, and you can make a lot more money because your margins will be higher. You'll have to spend less to get what you need. The best thing about WordPress is that there are tons and tons of themes online that you can go and just automatically plug into your website and just change the wording essentially. You can come to a website like this and basically search for themes. Like if you're looking for something finance, for example, working for a financial company, you see all these themes and all these plugins where you could just plug this into WordPress, change the wording up, and charge the customer monthly to basically maintain this website. Okay, let's go down the rabbit hole into business #2. We're gonna get more and more technical as we go, but all of these businesses can create massive income. If you wanna make $100,000 a month online, you can make $100,000 with any of these businesses. So even though a web design company is a little bit less technical than these next 2 businesses, it still can make tons and tons of money. And don't get discouraged if you tried WordPress before and it was a little bit hard, because there's a lot of things less technical than WordPress that still make a lot of money. We just won't talk about them in this video. Let me know in the comments if you want to talk about those though. The next business is online marketing. There are tons of people that will pay you to post on social media for them. Facebook, Instagram, all the social media platforms. They don't want to post. People will pay for blog posts. People will pay for emails. These are all things that have to happen in a business on a regular basis, especially email marketing and things like that. It's what drives business. But a lot of entrepreneurs don't have time to do this, and they'll just pay for it because it brings a return. If you pay $100 for an email marketing service and it brings you $500 a month, it's an easy sell. And the cool thing about this is that entrepreneurs are already doing it and they hate it. So you don't have to sell them on your service. They know what it costs, and it's very easy. You just tell them that you do it, and you'll most likely get a very, very easy sell. The coolest thing about this is you can create passive income with this business by especially learning how to code, but you could still do it with low code or no code tools. For example, let's take an interior design business. I'm gonna just say, give me a blog post on interior design. And as you can see, within seconds, it's spitting out a full blog post. So if you're doing this manually, all you have to do basically is copy and paste, whether it's in WordPress or whatever you're working with. But if you know how to code just a little bit, you can automate this. You can automate the posting of stock footage to certain accounts. You can automate blog posts. and people will pay tons and tons of money. I mean, you can probably charge $500 to $1,000 per customer just by adding a little bit of code. OpenAI, aka ChatGPT, also can create images. So you could probably create AI images to post to someone's profile, and they'll be unique images, not stock footage that you have to pay for. Of course, we don't have time to get into it fully on this video, but I'll give you a very quick rundown on how I would structure automating social media business. And keep in mind, this is a very high income business. You can make 50,000, 100,000. You can make probably millions of dollars with this business if you follow these steps. So first, this is OpenAI. This is basically what ChatGPT is built off of. It costs a little bit if you want to use what's called the API, and you can use code to basically do what I just did here and have blog posts written. So whatever your customer says they want, you can return it without doing anything. Just write the code and they put the prompt, and then you return the OpenAI prompt. You need to know a little bit of code. So Web3 Schools is really good if you want to learn a coding language. I would recommend if you're doing anything with AI, Python is a really good language to use. And if you brush up on a language just enough to know how to read the language and kind of work with it a little bit with basic code, then you can use something like cursor.com, where it's an AI code editor where you don't have to really write all the code. It can write a lot of the code for you. All right, so that might have been a lot for you, but it's actually easier than it seems. It's a really simple feature. It's not a full-blown app. And you could already start with one feature like just blog posts. And you could do it manually and just say you offer blog posts, and you can just write it in ChatGPT, copy and paste it, and then you can automate it later. Keep in mind, I talked about this in my last video. If it takes you 20 years to do this and it finally pops in year 20, you can still retire 20 years earlier than the average person. And that's the power of starting your own business and building passive income. All right, so lastly, let's get into another business. It's probably the most technical, probably the most hands-off of all the businesses that we talked about. And this business is a software as a service. And this is basically helping people out with code. So if you help people do their job, whether they're real estate agents or they're chefs or they're interior designers, if you create an app that helps them do their job better or make more money, they'll be willing to pay you to use that app on a monthly basis. All right, so let's use my business as an example. It's currencycaptain.com, which basically helps people budget and automate their money. So for example, instead of sitting down and writing down how much you spent on food and drink, going to your bank account, going through all the transactions and adding them up, seeing what you spent for the month, you can just come here and hover over food and drink and see exactly what you spent. It's automatically done. And that's all after just clicking this button, going through the steps, which takes about 20 seconds to add your bank account. So now I don't have to question what I spend a lot of money on. I can see what I spend a lot of money on. I don't have to question what I spent this month on food and drink or on my transfers out or on my entertainment. It's automatically done for me. I also just added this feature where you can transfer money from one account to another. So if you want to automate your savings or automate sending money to your investment accounts, you can do that. And I think that's super helpful for people without like a 401k, and not everyone has a 401k. So if you want to come here and you say, I want to transfer on a monthly basis a percentage, so 5% of my income, I could just go through and transfer 5% of my income every month to a certain account, whether it's my savings or investment. This app is one single code base. So it's multiple people using one code base, and it's automating your budgeting, something that really is tedious and most people just don't do because it's so annoying and tedious. Well, now you don't have to do it, and it's $8.99 a month. And for a lot of people, $9 a month is worth it for automatic budgeting, seeing exactly what you're spending, helping you spend less money, so on and so forth. All right, so let's just for fun look at some of the top SaaS companies, software as a service companies in the United States. Number one, it's Salesforce. So this is definitely an app that helps people do their job better and makes people's job easier. A lot of people run entire companies on Salesforce. Adobe. There are people in the creative space that cannot operate without Adobe. It definitely makes people's jobs possible and definitely easier. You have Shopify. Most people didn't even know how to make money online or do online sales and sell products online. Now you have Amazon FBA, where they'll basically hold your products for you and you just do the sales. You have Shopify, where you don't have to know how to code. you can create an online store within probably an hour or two. So people are willing to pay for these because it makes their life either easier or helps them make money. Now I want to point one out that I actually use, which is MongoDB. It's a database. And this just goes to show that there are billion-dollar companies that most people don't even know about. There are so many places to help people where you can just make their lives a little bit easier or help them make a little bit more money, and they will love you for it, they'll pay you for it, and then you can make passive income from it. And by the way, here's Wix, which you can also use to create websites and even run a web design business on top of. You don't even need to know how to code to create a software as a service. There are people who have created billion-dollar companies on low code and no code platforms, and here's one of them, Bubble.io. I've never used it personally, but what I know about it is it's a drag and drop app design platform. So the basic difference between Squarespace and something like Bubble.io is that Squarespace is really for websites. A website uses no data from the user. So if you think about a login, for example, I need my name and my password saved somewhere. Think about that. It has to be somewhere or they won't know whether to let me into the app or not. But this is a website right here. I don't have to really log into anything. I could see all this code. It's just free on the internet and I could just go to it and see it. So an app like CurrencyCaptain.com, for example, where you could see tons of data, including news articles, transactions, and things like that, you would definitely need a web app. And this is where something like Bubble.io comes in. You can build all sorts of web apps. And like I said, there have been billion-dollar companies created and multi-million-dollar companies created on this no-code platform. Now, web apps are no different than websites when it comes to having two different business models that differ in margins. Obviously, if you use a no-code or a low-code platform, you're gonna have to pay that premium. It's gonna charge you a monthly fee in order to maintain that website. And that's exactly what Squarespace is versus WordPress. Squarespace is much easier to use, but it's much more expensive because of that. Now in the web app space, that difference is pretty much Bubble.io versus Next.js or something like that. Bubble.io is basically like the Squarespace of web design. It comes with a price, whereas WordPress is free. And if you own a business, that means you have to pass on that expense to the customer. So it's more expensive for the customer as well. Now here you can see Bubble.io pricing versus something like Next.js, which is completely free. Now the difference here is that with Bubble.io, you do not have to learn how to code. With Next.js, you do have to learn how to code. And like I said earlier, there are platforms like Cursor.com where you don't really have to write all the code yourself. You just have to kind of know what's going on. So once again, for apps, Bubble.io, if you don't want to learn how to code or if you don't know how to code, and then Next.js, if you want to learn how to code or if you already know how to code. So think about these businesses like a software as a service business. If you have 1,000 customers and you're able to charge $40 to help an architect do their job better, you can make $40,000 a month off of an app where you really don't have to keep building, or you don't have to build 1,000 different products. It's one app and one product, and you can be as creative as you want. Depending on the industry, it might be a very simple app, it might be a very complex app, but that's reoccurring revenue that's helping someone and helping you by putting money in your pocket every month. But even if you don't create passive income fully, these are great ways to just start a business. A web design company, just creating your own website is good practice because you'll learn how to use WordPress or you'll learn how to use Squarespace, and then you can go basically charge a fee for that. And then you'll continue to learn and get better at this skill, which is just helping you all in the long run. And again, considering that most people work about 40 years in their lifetime at a 9-to-5 job and have about 2 years of paid time off, even if these things take you 20 years to build, you're still better off than the 9-to-5 employee working 40 years in order to get 2 years paid time off. So let me know if you want to dive into any of these concepts more. I appreciate you for watching. Have a blessed day.